Hello, welcome to Cow Daily. Good to see you. We've got lots of things to talk about today, which are very good. Um, we'll be going through them as per bit of a chilled out one today. This afternoon, I'm going to have my first proper afternoon off for about a month, and that includes weekends because I've worked through, and I'm really tired, and self care is important. So that's what I'm doing. I'm also just checking to see if the microphone's turned on. Bit of a technical issue before we started, but as ever, we'll figure it out and we'll crack on. And see people starting to arrive in the comments. So if you're around, let us know in the comments and give one early like and even share the stream. That would be wonderful. If you want to support the work, go to patreon.com/cowdaily. That's patreon.com/cowdaily. Also, you can do super thanks on YouTube and on PayPal for one-off contribution to the work. Speaking of the work, here it is. Check it. So anyway, from The Independent, Sycamore Gap tree cut to pieces and removed by crane. Caught on June the 12th for their next hearing, and they were both granted unconditional bail in the meantime. Daniel Graham left and Adam Carruthers right wore masks outside court. Balaclavas, basically. They've turned up like they're in the raw. Like this, if this doesn't tell you, right, how militant, let's say, the people in the northeast of England are about the cultural iconography, I don't know what does. It's absolutely mad. They've turned up in masks. Like, I wonder what they were expecting to happen. I wonder what was going on in their brains. But at the same time, we saw the public outcry of it. Now we're still none the wiser about what the motive was. Like people are the furthest people have went is like TikTok stunt or something. But why though? Why? The saga continues, I feel. One thing I just wanted to point out here, this from obviously we know Trump's trying to get re-elected and he's doing it off the back of the anti-vax culture war. So this is from January the 19th, 2021. President Trump awards presidential commendations to Operation Warp Speed team. Operation Warp Speed being Trump has crowed on about this, about bringing vaccines the quickest. Just in yellow there, Dr. Anthony Fauci was awarded presidential commendation for Operation Warp Speed. So is the Jared Kushner and others of a similar ilk. And yet, part of what he's trying to do now is get elected by whipping this type of stuff up again. Very, very interesting. And what's really interesting is he's like his cult, we'll call it, just pretending that that didn't happen. Like, I mean, a lot of them would like literally string Fauci up, but they're pretending that Trump didn't award him a commendation for getting the vaccines out. There'll be more on this story as we go forward, I believe. So I want to point out, I mean, Sky News bad enough in the UK. Sky News Australia, though, check this out, man. On the screen for audio people. Lefties losing it. Greta Thunberg, a miserable little doom goblin. Rita Pahani blasts commie troll. Greta Thunberg. Right, if this isn't the language of fascism, I don't know what is. Greta Thunberg, a young person wanting the planet not to be unlivable in her lifetime, has decided to take it upon herself to highlight this issue. Now she's a doom goblin and a commie troll. Like, how man? Like, regulation in Australia, is there any? How on earth can that be allowed to be something that's like put out by a so-called news organization? And obviously we know it's Rupert Murdoch's, who incidentally, as we mentioned on a previous show, recently met with Peter Thiel, Russell Brand's paymaster, and Elon Musk and others in LA recently about getting Trump re-elected. So it's going to get worse and worse. Just something I thought was nice. I believe somebody's projected Palestinian scarf keffiyeh on the Angel of the North, reminiscent of when we did the Refugees Welcome Here banner, which was a real banner. But this looks beautiful. Looks a beautiful thing, doesn't it? You cannot force someone to comprehend a message that they are not yet ready to receive. Still, you must never underestimate the power of planting a seed. We're going to talk about a long COVID story later on, which illustrates this perfectly. And I was sent the article, and it was suggested I should just read it live. So I'm going to see why people have said this. We shall find out though as the show progresses. Stay tuned. Just on the Greens, this is recently from the Times, an article by Janice Turner, cosplaying as a journalist, as you'll see. The Greens have lost their nice tag for good. Party that once offered wholesome ideas and a safe protest vote is becoming home to the hard left, ejected by Labour. Obviously, a reboot of the Mandelson Times Radio scurril that were talked about on a previous show last week. The Greens really need to watch what they're doing, like in the sense of, please don't be naive about what's to come. I mean, we saw all that they're trying to do is like stop any kind of progressive movement in its tracks, and obviously the last election results proved that the Greens are on the march. I worry about because there's so many nice people, certainly that I've met, who are connected to the Green Party. I worry that they're not equipped to deal with what's going to come, much like people within the Labour Party weren't equipped to deal with it because they didn't get the support that they should have got. Now, I'd like to see that change this time, but there's also quite a few bad actors rearing their heads on the left, and we'll be continuing to uncover them going forwards because they've made it personal again. That's not good. So, we'll move forwards. But it's just something that I'm concerned about, and I'm concerned about that in the sense of democracy and, for example, tell us in the comments, right? Do you think that democracy is something that you can put your faith in? And it's let's talk about the UK. I know there's people that listen and watch around the world, but let's talk about the UK specifically. Do you feel that you can put your faith in any of the main parties at all? Well, I don't. So, I'm giving my vote to the Greens, at least for now, until future notice and whatever. But as I've said many times, I've been impressed personally and professionally with the dealings that I've had with them. So I'm basing it on that, in the sense that I feel like I can trust people to get in. It's not just people on the right, ostensibly, who want the Greens to fail. There's people on the left who want that to happen. And some of them are incredibly dirty. And we're going to be exposing that going forward because we have to, because they're not what they seem. Let's put it that way. But I would say to any Greens listening or whatever, strap yourselves in, but make sure the support network's in place, and don't be frightened to ask for support from the outside too, because you will get it. This is something interesting. And it was just that recent man versus bear debate that's been going on. This is author Matt Seska. A lot of my fellow men who have really misunderstood the assignment with the whole man versus bear thing. Your job wasn't to come charging into mansplaining to women why they were wrong for choosing the bear. Your job was to listen to them about why they would choose the bear. I'm going to read that again. Your job was to listen to them about why they chose the bear, and then to hold our fellow men accountable so that in future women would not feel inclined to choose the bear. That was the assignment, fellas. And I think that's a really great and simple way of describing what I've seen from my fellow men, the brittleness of it all. I understand to a degree. I don't want to, people say when they don't want to be tarred with the same brush and whatnot. But as it said in that bit there, have you ever actually spoken with, asked a question about this to women in your life, and then shut up and listened? Because I think quite a few people would be deeply surprised to learn that something of this nature has happened to women in their lives. I mean, when I started doing this quite a long time ago, actually, and it was born from, when I was younger, as many of you know, I had 25 years in youth and community work, face-to-face managing projects and all that. And that was a good personal development opportunity for me. And that led to me asking these questions of women in my life. prepare yourself for the answers. I see the brittleness of some men to this particular thing, and it blows my mind. And it makes us wonder. 2 seconds, I'll just shift my phone off. Yeah, it makes us wonder, and it can't not make anybody wonder. I suppose, like, what is wrong here? What is the factor that makes men think they can center themselves as the aggrieved in this argument? No, I don't think all women think all men are rapists, but I certainly do think that a hell of a lot of women, the vast majority, in fact, think all men are capable of that based on experiences that they've had or people close to them, because the statistics are that stark. So that's what we need to be talking about. And it annoys us as a man and just as a human being to see this argument dragged into sixth form debating in club. Like, this is a conversation that we should all have and should be having and be doing it as adults. Like this, oh, not listening to you because, like, oh, it makes us just think you're a nonce. Like, or it certainly makes us think at best you're a child. At the end of the day, you shouldn't have to know a woman or have direct personal experience speaking with women in your life to care about this thing. It's quite obvious that it's out of hand. And with the dawn of the likes of Andrew Tate cosplaying as what some kind of Nietzschean Superman is for the establishment, by the way, then it's even more of an issue. We're hearing like this from school teachers and people even leaving the profession because of misogyny from kids. From kids. And I've seen this happen through youth and community work. If that's not nipped in the bud, it becomes the thin end of the wedge, because then women and girls become dehumanized. And then they're pieces of meat to exploit and do whatever in the minds of these young men who become men. And then they raise boys into boys. It's just ridiculous. It's also ridiculous, like, as a man to talk about this, and then the default from these absolute fools is like some kind of insinuation that you're some kind of, like, in their mind, a soft person. Quite often they'll characterize you as an extension of that, of being gay or secretly gay, and it's an attempt to, like, shut you up. I mean, look, there's nothing wrong with being gay. It's not a slur, you know? I don't happen to be gay, but what's the point? I also happen to train 5 days a week, but that's not the point either, is it? It's not about, like, who can throw hands and who can't. Some of the hardest people I've ever met are gay rights activists, and I respect them. And I don't care about, like, all of this culture war framing around anybody who is seen as weak and can be characterized as weak. So people are too busy fighting each other to look up, same as it ever was. And this is just the most recent manifestation of it. And I'll be honest with you, if I see men in the comments twisting about this, massive red flag. Let's have it right. So anyway, Ewok, and I believe Princess Leia at the top, just chilling in the woods with a bear underneath. Bunch of men showing up to tell you why your choice was illogical. And there's a stormtroopers in that turn up. And this is what it is. You know? Blokes turning up to just go, this isn't right. Of course, all men aren't. It's not the point, man. Get with the bloody program and wake up. Because, look, and I hate terming it in like this, but sometimes people need it to be termed personally. Some of you are raising daughters into a world that you're co-creating as dangerous for them because of the language that you're using. How some men don't have the penny drop on them to that regard, I have absolutely no idea. But one can only hope, can't one? Yes. So anyway, we'll take some comments. There's quite a few, so I'll have to cherry pick. So my sincere apologies if I don't get everybody. Hello, Jojo, Leon, Dave Slaz. My mic is in fact fine. I've checked it twice, Slaz. Thanks for that, dude. Who else is about? Glasgow, nice to see you. Who else? Who else? Who else? All the people. Carlos, Kelsim, hello. What are my thoughts on the Scottish Greens? Different party, obviously, from the one in England and Wales, and that was done formally, I believe, because of issues around the trans. Well, I don't really want to call it trans debate. Trans people are human beings at the end of the day. But what do I think about them? I don't know a lot about the Scottish domestic politics because I'm covering other things like COVID, climate change, things like that. So I asked some trusted people recently to sort of break it all down for us. I just think that I shouldn't speak on things that I don't know the nuance of, so I'm not going to do that. But Kel, if you do want us to do a deeper dive on Scottish Greens and some specifics of what specific reactions you would like, I'll happily do that. So just inboxes. But I think I've reached the limits of my understanding of that particular issue, and that's something that I shouldn't speak on. So, but I will absolutely speak on it if you want us to. Just hook a brother up and ask us exactly what you want us to look into, and I'll do it on another show. So, right. Carlos is saying also read the recent Laura Pidcock post regarding the Angel of the North, more specifically the comment section. That picture that I put up there, Laura actually shared that. That's where I got it from. I didn't read the comments, but I can pretty much guess what it is. Glad Scalp is saying men don't want to listen. This is obviously relating to the bear debate, bear versus man debate we've just been talking about. Men don't want to listen. A best friend of mine really didn't take it well when me and Mr. G sat him down, went through him over his misogyny that escalated him threatening me after we found he was a wrong'un. Just go to the next comment. I gave him a rotten and he told me to never be back near the door as well. It's Glasgow and he's not friendly. Nice one, mate. I mean, that's the way it's done. I mean, this is the thing. If he's like kicking off about like things that are clear from people that he is friends with, then you know. And I'll just say this: I've done this multiple times too. It's never went well. Well, I suppose in terms of like how you would define well, these people aren't my life anymore. So like ultimately, it goes well because you don't have to have that roundabout you, you know. So anyway. Let's see. Oh, Woz is in the house. Nice to see you. Morning, Duncan, as well. Right. Sorry if I've missed anybody. I think I have, but got a bash on, chaps. Just wanted to reference this, right? This is from like 2019 or something, and it's Dover and Deal Labour Party on Twitter. Is Natalie Elphick Kent's worst MP this year? After a bad Christmas on Twitter, we're wondering, is Miss Elphick Kent's worst MP? Well, she's your MP now, Labour Party. I just wanted to throw that up there. What on earth is going on there? Their hair flick. He's next. What on earth are they doing, man? It's absolutely and utterly mad. But at the same time, it seems to be very on brand. And all I will say is this: the vote Labour to get the Tories out thing like expired a long time ago. But like, look, don't talk to me about anything if Natalie Elphick's in your party and the rest of them, the rest of the ones that have crossed the floor. And you know what else? I've heard rumors Liz Truss is going to be the next one. And you would never entertain that, would you? But Natalie Elphick, though, really? Something else on the screen just to pivot. This is from the start of the pandemic. And this is Return at the WHO Geneva campus. On 21st of May 2020, they'd installed one of the best HEPA air filtration systems in the world, whilst only recently acknowledging that the COVID is airborne. I'm going to do a deeper dive on this in the future and some like proper videos, but I just wanted to mention it to you. Simple as that. Absolutely insane. And I mean, as you know, we've also mentioned the stuff in Parliament, World Economic Forum, World Headquarters. That's a club in Newcastle upon Tyne. World Health Organization too. Makes you wonder what else, doesn't it? It does me. Something really positive I wanted to point out, and do you remember, like we were saying, and patrons will certainly remember in previous patrons forums, we've talked about getting a directory of services together, like ourselves. for almost like the Underground Railroad of clean air places in the UK and obviously abroad too. It's happened. Somebody's done it. So go to @safeinside2024 on Twitter or safeinside.co.uk. So what they're doing at the moment is this: it's a month of noise, which is like people ringing up dentists to specifically focusing on this month to ask them whether they have HEPA air filtration and would be willing to wear good masks. So, month of noise important update. We're no longer asking people with long COVID, ME, or other chronic conditions to call. It's just too often a negative experience. If you have family or friends affected, please support them by helping us. Please share. So, what safeinside.co.uk are asking for are volunteers to ring up dental surgeries in your area and explain to them about why they should have good ventilation and good filtration and masking and mitigations for clinically vulnerable people in this regard specifically. But as we know, that includes everybody. So that's safeinside.co.uk. I just wanted to give them a shout out as well. I've made some links with them recently and it's beautiful, honestly. Like for me, like it's so important as somebody who suffered from long COVID, right? To see this happening. Because like I'd like to get I need some dental work, I need some medical work and this, that, and the third. But like you weigh it up and it's like on balance, why do I want to go into a place where I could get something far worse? Then I need a couple of minor procedures, got like a lump on my back, it's fine, but like it just needs to go. It's from like a crash in a bike race where I didn't get the stone pulled out and it grew over a period of time. So that just needs to be pulled out. So there's just like little things like that that I need. And I'm just like, well, it's not going to kill us, sod it. Like, and how many other people are like that too? So this here is one of the greatest things. Safeinside.co.uk. Give them a follow at safeinside2024. Strangely enough, Zoe, if you're listening, I saw a dentist pop up in Tamworth. So I don't know if it's yours or not, but go check their Twitter, mate, and their directory of services. I'd like to see this expanded into all things. You know, obviously, you know yourself, and definitely patrons know this because I tell you a lot in the forum. I am working on stuff outside of Milk the Cow to try and bring this about at population level, but at the same time, we can do this ourselves, and in the meantime, it's a must. We should. So this is a really great and powerful way to get involved and just build an underground railroad for people like us to access medical services in a clean and safe way. And it's the least we deserve. We deserve better than this, all of us. So we're going to have to create it ourselves, as we've been saying for a long time since I brought this show into being after I recovered. I started to recover at least. We're not giving up and we're going to keep going. And this is a massive thing. So I'm really looking forward to exploring this directory of services and finding out whether if there's any way I can actually gan and get some help. Just to close the show with this, I'm going to read you the article, and it's the article I referenced earlier. Just going to have a quick drink of this tea. Lemon balm as ever, wonderful. So, COVID infection 1, no such thing as long COVID, and that's this journalist. 2, same. 3, no such thing as long COVID. 4, still no such thing as long COVID. 5, wait, oh no. So, mate, let's hear you. Let's have a look. Right, I'm just going to put this on reader mode because the pop-up ads on these websites are terrible. Are you on the screen? You are. So what the premise of this is, and somebody sent this to it and said, don't read it, just read it on the show, right? So this is from the Aspen Daily News. Maralt, this is the writer, Roger Maralt. If I haven't seemed like myself lately, he says. So it says here, physically it only hurts when I ski, run, ride, or do many other activities I love. Mentally it comes in waves. When they crest, my thoughts are like wax objects I'm sorting under a hot sun. Uncomfortable. Some stick together and I fumble to figure out what they were. Others melt in the pools beyond recognition. I have to let them go. I have long COVID. I had my 5th positive test for COVID on January the 1st, and while I wasn't extremely sick, my recovery felt slow. In the first week of March, there was no more denying the condition I previously doubted was real. Oh, now I see why I'm supposed to read that. People like him, because I obviously, as many as you know, if you're here for the first time, I got long COVID at the start of the pandemic and obviously didn't know much about it then. And then it just got worse and worse and good couple of years in bed. And, you know, I'm feeling well and fit now and I can function and whatever, but I'm still like living differently because I'm aware that repeat infections, specifically close together, lead to dun 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 what this guy's done. Farfo, fuck around and find out. So what we got? I had my fifth positive test for COVID on January the 1st. I also had a positive test. They all happened on January the 1st with me. And while I wasn't extremely sick, my recovery felt slow. In the first week of March, there was no more denying the condition I previously doubted was real. It was a powder day from the top of Aspen Mountain with straight line through easy chair. Normally a tourist mode. I'm not reading this guy's skiing fantasies. He's basically got to the bottom, gasping for air with a migraine. Yeah, it's what happens, mate, and it's really horrific. And what's also really horrific is having people like this who previously denied it with a platform as a mainstream journalist, like denying what we're going through. I mean, you expect better. You know, you don't expect like sub Russell Brand level denialism. I mean, just the other day, right, and it feeds into this type of stuff. My partner was on her own in the shop, right, getting getting my weekly shop in. I was busy working, obviously masked. Some bloke, Dutch bloke, comes up and he's like smiling right in her face and all of this. A man doing that towards a woman, you can imagine what would have happened if I'd been there. But like, here's the thing: when I'm there, it doesn't happen. So it maybe feeds into this like weird, like man versus bear, like crossing of lines and transgression behavior. Because I swear to God, we find that in that kind of talk too. Those type of men, they're not bothered about what other men, what other women, what women think that they're doing it to. They're bothered about what other men think, which is shit. So sucks to be him because, as you know, my partner can absolutely chin us, and she's the one who trains us. She's a black belt. This guy, honestly, he was very, 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 very lucky because she was just like, "Who the hell do you think you are?" Like, honestly, this is the calmest person ever, but don't cross her. She will, you will not like that. So yeah, this is the thing. These people who had the platform, like I'll be honest with you, I'm struggling with no, I'm going to rephrase that. I'm not struggling with empathy. It's just a challenge. Like, I'll find the empathy. And as I've always said, when it happens to people, which is what's happening now, and I've been saying that for the last 2 years, when like a load of us have been getting pelters off people. But guess what? I haven't told some of you this. Some of those people that were doing it are getting in touch via inbox, are farfoing their life away, have done that. And I I'm helping, but it's hard. It's been hard, and I've even said it's been hard. I've said, you know, like people, like literally, like when I could barely stand, just like the grief that I was getting. You know, when I started writing again, and I took a good year off social media, didn't I? Because I just like, when you've got long COVID, man, it's super scary, and even like a little bit of stress can like just send you back weeks. It's a very tight line that you walk to recovery, and a lot of it's around self-discipline and not moving. But even not within that, not knowing if you're going to get better. I'm saying this in hindsight. I can handle myself in loads of situations, but I'm frightened of that happening again. And I've got a problem with saying that. I have an iron will, and I will not bow to peer pressure. And that doesn't make me soft. Quite the opposite, in fact. As I've said, I've sat here for a lot of time now since it happened to us, opening myself up to trolls and people who want to deny and all of that. You think that's soft, dear? That's not soft. Big up absolutely everybody doing this and who've held the line throughout. And look, this guy's on his fifth infection, and now he's writing the smallest violin in the world in article form. And we have to stand ready to help people because obviously, the likes of us, we've been learning about this and we have to help people. We can't not help people. But at the same time, I really hope these people get that help with a big bucket of being humbler. Because I'll tell you this for now, and this goes for like not just people I don't know, people I know too. Some of the things that were done or not done, and some of the things that were said and not said when I was confused. You know what the guy there in the article was talking about, how his thoughts were like hot wax or like wax. Aye, Honestly, I would like get so frustrated around the house because I'd forgotten what I'd said like a second ago. And this sounds weird, right? But like the brain injury stuff, it's like even when you're doing it, you've forgotten what you've said as you're saying it, which sounds so weird because you're like sentient but not sentient of that at the same time. It just feels like your brain's clocking back from a blue screen of death, like constantly, as if it was a computer. It's the best way to try and describe this, and even that doesn't like illustrate the fear and the pain of being abandoned. And that's, something that we really do here right now in 2024 need to understand because it's something like 1 in 6 people have long COVID, and it's just getting worse. And people are falling off the radar and finding out that, like I did, that nobody's coming to mop your brow. That's very scary. And like, you're not going to get any help at all in terms of sick pay and things like that. They're trying to remove all that. So just watch what you're doing. And I'm just saying to my mom and dad, literally every time I would leave the house as I was a kid, watch what you're doing. Watch what you're doing for international listeners. And that's cute and all of that stuff, isn't it? But do you know what it is, right? Like my partner and I were talking about this, about my parents and how like how well they've done to get their heads around all of this. Do you know what I mean? Like the changes, and it all happened around when they retired too. So it must be really frustrating. But like, they've heard and seen what happened to us, which is, they're not people who like they're not like me who can resist peer pressure very well. They're just not. And I love and respect them, but that's just the truth. But I love and respect them all that little bit more because I've seen them do it, you know? Um, and that must be hard for them, but they're doing it to like, they're cleaning the air, they're masking, and they're doing all of those things, and I love them for it. And if you do happen to listen to this, I'm not sure if you do or you don't. I love you and thanks. Um, I know I took a bit of this out on you early doors in the pandemic, but I was projecting me pain, wasn't I? And that comes back to this story about like, the journalist. I've just read a section of his article. Don't think it's important to read the rest because it'll probably just wind us up. But that's bringing it back to that. People need to be given space to come to change, and they need to be given space to understand what's happened. Otherwise, we're just like a whole cycle of like verbal and mental violence just breaks out again, and we're not fixing anything. We're not like making things better. And if everything isn't to be shit, then we'll have to like build unity. And look, no matter what people thought and whatever, when it gets people, and there's nothing they can do about it. Or like there was beforehand, but once they've got it, they're just going to have to ride the lightning or do the precautions that we all know to do: clean the air, mask. And there's never been a better time to do it than now because the situation is bad on a few different fronts: measles, possibility of bird flu, variants which have escaped with other vaccines. A lot of people just not vaccinated anymore. Um, I've been told like stories all the time about people like thinking they got vaccinated once and that's it. I don't know if that's self delusion, knowingly or what, but that's not the case. So that's the point, really. I think that's what I'm trying to get at. As hard as it is, I'm trying to claw deep inside and find that empathy. And it's proven less challenging by the day as I move away from the physical illness. Now I'm afforded the opportunity to work on the mental side and work through all of the like recriminations and how I feel about certain individuals and groups of people. Definitely people are still getting challenged. Definitely that's occurring. And it's going to be less aggy unless, of course, this ag comes my way. We need to reach out, find out. I need to understand why certain groups who you could have banked on helping. But that's the psychology of these times. It's quite novel. We do have a historical precedence, as we know, which is the great forgetting after the 1918 so-called Spanish flu, which was again propaganda. It wasn't Spanish. But anyway, a few comments before we leave. Zoe's saying, at least we have the understanding what's going on. Exactly. We can't diagnose a problem unless we have the facts at hand, basically. Right. So Slaz is saying, in DJ often hear you don't look disabled. Quite right. Like this is the thing, isn't it? Slaz, it's one of those things as well. And being honest, I've said a version of that to you, Slaz. Like I remember you said recently, we're talking about when you did the rally expeditions and that. I was like, I didn't even like know you couldn't tell. And I don't know what is that. I thought it was I was given a compliment. That was the energy behind it. But please tell us if that's not the case, because we're going to all modify. I certainly don't want so what I think is a compliment to be not received in that way, and I'll happily change my word. Um, right then, what we get. There's a lot. Oh, we're talking about brain fog. I'm sorry that a lot of you are getting brain fog. It's like in the comments there. Um, it's really, really bad. And if like, to give you an example of this, is like when I first started doing the show again after I got ill. I would have to like basically lay down in bed for like hours afterwards, and I would be fatigued because I would have to like drag my brain into something approaching being able to do a show and sit like this now. And it's just a horrible, horrible thing that I never want to go back on and I'll go back to. Give you an example of like how much I don't want to. Um, it's my partner's family member's wedding coming up. Really like the people as well. I really like the lad who's marrying her as well. And I'm not going. I just took the view that like, the way me and my partner live, one of them gets ill, it'll be bad. If both of them got ill, it'd be terrible. And we're trying to like at the moment, like, you know, get like a secure like, a regular place to live. We're thinking about buying somewhere and doing it up, that kind of thing. We're both self-employed. So if we did that, when we got ill, that's over, isn't it? So it's just I had to take that view. Now I have struggled with this too because it doesn't come without a kind of, I suppose, being othered, you know, and it doesn't even have to be anything people say. You just nod, haven't you? But what you gonna do? Hey, I'll be fit and healthy in 5 years. Will you? I'll come and mop your brow. No, I'm joking. But it's sad, really, because I'd like to have been there, But at the same time, I'm kind of happy and I'm protecting what I don't know whether it's a fragile health or not. I feel great though. I'm doing like a lot of training at the moment, and I'm not getting those things that I did when it first happened, is where I hold on to the wall and my heart beats out my chest, and I think I'm having a heart attack. All respiratory issues and. So that's that, man. Please, 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 in the spirit of me mum and dad, watch what you're doing. And I really, really hope that through this next period, you and your friends and your family get off with this relatively unscathed. And as I said, even if we've like had crosswords, and when this happens to you, because without these mitigations personally or at population level, it probably will. When it does, reach out. I'm definitely going to help you. Honestly, it's the classic. I wouldn't wish this on my own worst enemy thing. And I really, 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 really wouldn't. Even you. Bye.